Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are joined by someone who proves that you don't have to choose between being an elite performer and building a powerhouse career. Sophia Parvizi Wayne is an Elite 15 Hyrox athlete, a tech founder, and has recently been listed in the Forbes 30 under 30 list. She's racing at the very top of the sport in both solos and doubles with her partner Holly Archer, and whilst building businesses, pushing boundaries, and redefining what high performance really looks like. Sophia, thank you so much for your time. We know you're one busy lady. With that list, it's mental. I don't know where we're going to start, but thank you for joining us today.
Guys, that was the sweetest intro ever. Can we just like do it again? Can you just keep saying, can I make that like my bedroom alarm in the mornings whenever I feel like crap? I can just hear that like list of things that like don't, not really the way I feel the whole time, but I love it. I'm gonna remind myself of that.
Honestly, I mean, we were writing the intro and it's bloody impressive. I don't know how you do it all and how you are I mean, we focus on the sport side and and the females like at the high level in high rocks and hybrid, but you're just at a high level in all aspects of your life. So maybe we should start with how you juggle everything and if you've enjoyed a bit of downtime over Christmas and New Year.
One, I think the idea of like balance probably doesn't exist, right? I think like everyone's like, oh my God, how do you balance it all? I don't. And I think, I mean, I'm so happy to talk about it, but what happened in Melbourne, obviously I pulled out of my first Elite 15 race on the singles, clearly showed that I couldn't. Um, I think it was kind of a period where, you can kind of do both at a high level for a while and ultimately one has to give in periods of flux. And at that point, I think I'd been going at, I guess, competing at a pretty high level. I'd run 101, whilst I'm navigating some work changes right now. And I think I had just taken on too much. Um, so I think for me, it's figuring out like what part of my identity fills up like 80% to 20, like what part it's never going to be 50-50. I know that. And then also what part is, the more important parts, which is, friendship and family. And, I just got a boyfriend. I did, and he's great. But my point is, it's like actually, when do you instead of thinking about like high level, I think like outside of that, when can I make time for things that actually matter? And that's normally the thing that falls. Actually, it's right. It's I'm the one that probably doesn't go out as much as I used to. Um, so over the New Year, I was like, fuck it, I'm hosting New Year's, I'm hosting a dinner party. I was like, I'm no longer Sophia the athlete for like 2 weeks. I'm going to run when I want. Can you hear me okay?
Hang on, we just had a bit of a delay, I
Can you
think.
hear me? I can hear you.
Okay, I think we might be back. Can you hear us okay?
I hear you.
Okay,
I hear you. I hear you fine.
okay, I'm just gonna, yeah, cool. Okay, let's carry on from there. Yeah.
We're
So
good?
you hosted a dinner party for New Year. We saw that.
Yeah, I know. It was a questionable decision to cook dinner for 25 people, but it's fine. Three courses.
Fair, that is, especially after Christmas. Please tell me you didn't cook Christmas dinner as well.
No, no, no. Honestly, I'm very impressed with myself. I was like, I'm the ultimate hybrid athlete. She cooks, she cleans, um, but it was nice to do something that didn't revolve around sport, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I think it's really honest of you to open up and kind of say that you didn't manage to juggle it all in the end. And unfortunately, like in Melbourne, you did have to take that hit in your solo race. But I think for everyone watching or maybe following your journey through social media, it's like amazing that you went and took the chance. You managed to get in, you qualified for both, and you showed up probably, I guess, knowing that you maybe were pushing your body a little bit too far, even when you lined up, and you showed up, but then it was like, okay, no, actually, I can't do this. And were you mentally, I guess, thinking like, I have got the doubles the next day with Holly, so it's probably better for me to like save myself,
I
or
think it was combination. I think I went into the race knowing my potential. And it's so funny. My manager always sends it to me, but you know, they're like the Rock's Fit app or whatever one it is. And it always shows you like your projected, and mine is always like a 57. And we're like, why am I not hit? Like, why am I the one in the 57 that never hits it? And it's probably because of my job, right? It's like, I have certain, none of the races are ever like perfect. And we kind of went into Melbourne knowing that I was redlining a little bit. I hadn't been recovering well. I started, it'd been a very long season. And I've been dealing with an injury for 5 months, right? So I turned up, taking all these anti-inflammatories and kind of was like, if it's not the perfect race, I'm not going to sacrifice Holly's race. Um, so I think at some point we went off, I felt okay. And then I tried to push the sled and I was like, this is the first time in my life it's not moving. Um, that's never happened. And I was like, whoa, this is an embarrassing place for this to happen. But like everyone has a bad race. And then at some point, Holly's coach, George, who was actually with me in the coaching thing, looked at me and goes, you missed the lap. And I was like, oh my God, no. And then I was like, no one knew that, by the way, but I was running knowing I had a 3-minute penalty. And I was like, what am I doing? The goal was to qualify, right, for Worlds. That was the actual goal I had in mind. And then I was kind of like, I need to be able to, not physically, my body was fine. My heart rate was 134 the entire race. I clearly just couldn't push. Um, but I knew if I kept going, I probably wouldn't mentally be able to get out of bed and be like, I can try tomorrow. So I was just like, you know what? I'll take the embarrassment, take it on the chin, and at least show up for Holly the day later.
Yeah, I don't think it's an embarrassment though. I think that's the thing that hopefully we can change in the sport, and it's like making the right decision for you because nobody knows
Yeah,
what's going on in your life. Nobody knows what's going on in the background. You've just said you had an injury that you've been dealing with for 5 months. You obviously
yeah.
have a lot of stress, like whether it's just like exercise induced stress or stress from like professional work and God knows what else is going on in people's lives, that sometimes you have to make the right call for you, and fair play to you for doing that. And then
Thank you.
back the
I,
next day
I,
and
I also think ultimately I called my coach George. I don't know. You shouldn't. He's funny. George Edwards. He's great. And he just called me. He was like, "You need some perspective." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "No one cares." And I was like, "You know what? That is true." He was like, "Look, you're not at the Olympics. You're at Hyrox. Like, let's just be realistic. You're running like it's an amazing sport and it's growing, and I'm sure it will be an Olympic sport." But he was like, "At the end of the day, everyone only cares about themselves." And I was like, "Okay." And then as soon as I remembered that, I was like, "I'm just going to take myself off social media." Like a couple of days because ultimately that's where you feel embarrassment, right? It's not actually what happened. It's the fact that Instagram is just filled with high rocks and people following it. And, it gets, you slightly become siloed into this, all my reels are high rocks. And I was like, oh my God, I need to change this so I can remember that this is one identity, but the world does not revolve around, my race falling apart.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And did you go into the race with Holly and enjoy any part of it?
No,
Or
no, I didn't. Holly knows that. I turned up, I woke up in the morning and was like, nah, do not want to do this. And she texted me and she was like, she is, I've known Holly for years. And I think we both do come her from a different level. But, I won multiple national championships. She obviously went and came, second in Europe. But we both kind of know how to switch our mentality and what works for us to like get me out of bed. And like, I think there wasn't that much pity from her, which I think was important. She was like, you can do this. Just like, suck it up. It's one more race. I'm not going to get annoyed at how you do. And was very grateful that I managed to show up. Obviously, we, ran a minute slower than we normally did. I think we're probably in 54, 55 shape right now. Um, but I ran for her. I'm going to be honest. I ran for her. And it's never fun when you're normally the fastest runner to be chasing someone the entire time. But it was a great ego kick.
and sometimes those races though, I think like you've had a tough time in Melbourne, but you guys go to your next race, and whether it's a solo or it's a doubles, if you're feeling a bit better, you'll be like, well, it wasn't as bad as that, and I can keep going. And
No,
sometimes pull on those experiences. Sometimes they're the best things that can happen to you.
yeah,
Then you hit the next,
totally.
and it's you feel amazing, and you are the
Look,
fastest sometimes.
no one learns anything from winning
Exactly.
consistently. Like actually you learn from like, I mean, everyone thinks my job has gone well. By the way, it has not. Um, the number of rejections you deal with in my job, or like the number of times I've run and lost. Obviously, I post the wins, but like there are because everyone does because our whole lives are about flexing apparently. Um, they are, but ultimately, like the biggest things you can learn is like how to pick yourself up. right? And I think that's a lesson that like we learn throughout our lives is like break up. How do we get up the day later and show up to work? You know?
Yeah, 100%. And they say, isn't it, like, I mean, probably in your world, like if somebody said to you, you were only 30 fails away from a win, how quickly would you fail 30 times to get that win?
Exactly.
You still
Exactly.
have to fail to get there,
Yeah.
and that's part of the process, isn't it? And that's why
Yeah.
having other things alongside it, like you said, is important so you don't
Exactly.
failures and they become your whole
Yeah.
world.
Also, failures are very relative, right? I think I can say, oh no, I failed because I like pulled out of a race. I'm the top 15 in the world. That's not a failure. Like I think that are like we have to sometimes like check ourselves and like think about the starting points and like where we come from. And originally I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And then my mum was like, you started this as a hobby a year ago. Like, let's just remember you broke a world record this year. You wrote in your diary 6 months ago, I'm gonna get Elite 15 in both, and we were all like, okay. Right. And I hit it. And I think like I'd rather the first one, if I won, there'd be nothing. Obviously, I was not gonna beat anyone. But if I had won in this miraculous world where suddenly I was really good, there wouldn't be anything to strive for. And I think now I have this ability to be like, ha, everyone thinks that this is what happens when I turn up. Let me prove them wrong the next time.
100%. I don't think it is what everyone thinks. I think everyone just thought you had a bad race, like, and it
I
happened.
did have a shitty race, but do you know what? But I think perspective in all of this is key. And we
Yeah.
lose sight. I think everyone loses sight of perspective, right? It's like you guys. I don't know how long ago you started this podcast. How long ago?
Well, we say 2 years
Nearly
in.
2 years. Yeah, nearly
Right.
2 years.
Right. Most podcasts fail within the first 10 episodes, like because people get tired and they realize like the success is the fact you guys have even done it for 2 years, let alone how many people have listened, right? Like success is relative.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So then what's like, this is quite an open question, but obviously you competed in running as like a younger athlete. What has your like, I guess, dream been? Has it been more of the like sporting, I would like to be an elite athlete, or more of the like corporate business owner, women entrepreneurship? Like, how is kind of your life
Yeah.
being? Yeah.
Um, it's honestly it keeps changing. Um, I think like ultimately my dream is like how much impact can I have, and that can come from and like how much can I challenge myself. And I think, I mean, I started when I was younger. Honestly, I have a picture and I'll send it to you guys. There's like when I was 7, they had to draw like a picture and say like what our dream job was. And I literally wrote, my dream is to be an athlete, comma, a 5-star hotel chain owner, comma, a fashion designer, interior designer, exterior designer. And a backup job, I would love to be the governor of the Bank of England. I was 7.
The backup.
Um, I know. I was just like, how did I even know what that was? I'm some weird brainwashed kid. But I think I've always kind of been like that. I think like opportunity is everywhere. And I think like having a multifaceted personality or like skill, I've always wanted to be like the modern Renaissance woman. Like I can do multiple things. And I remember, so obviously I ran at quite high level, but then I was like, oh, rowing looks quite fun. So I just like rocked up to an indoor rowing competition and won it. I won nationals. I was like, that was fun. And then my mum was like, this man was like, we should get Sophia in triathlon because obviously I swam at a competitive level. I ran at a competitive level. Tried that for a bit and was like, that got to like, the pre-Olympic squad for that. That was cool. But running has been the one that has been sustained. And then I think during college, I studied in the US. I think college actually showed me there was so much opportunity outside of that. And then I was in this kind of weird conflict of identities where like, it was either, train 6 hours a day and then take easier classes so you could recover. And I was like, but I'm in college to learn. Like, why would I take easier classes? Like, I want to write for this magazine and I want to do this. And I think the lack of choice made me pick the other one, actually. I was like, I don't like being forced to be told what to do. I want to enjoy the sport. So I stopped. I was just like, after college, I was like, I'm going to be a hobby runner. I'm going to build businesses. That's kind of what I've always wanted to do. And then I started like running a bit faster a couple of years ago with some friends and was like, oh shit, I miss this. Um, and then as soon as I did one race, I was like, no, I'm very funny. I did one race and was like, I want to be the best in the world now. And I think there are certain people who do not fit into boxes, and that is okay. And I think I'm probably one of them. Like, I just know that I can't be told what to do. There's
Yeah.
a reason I'm my own boss, right? It's just like I actually am very bad at being told what to do. I mean, you guys are probably the same, but I'm just a bit like, why do one thing? And like, why can't I just do multiple things?
Yeah. And
And like, why can't they work together?
where do you think you get your drive from? Is that from your parents, your family, or where's the like even like as a child to think so broadly, I guess? Where did everything
Um,
come from?
One, I think my mum has had multiple careers, and my mum is also a founder. So my mum is an Iranian refugee, comes to England, then founds a consulting company in the car industry, sold that, and then was like, I want to build a fem care product. And now runs a period care brand called Frida. I don't know if you guys know it. And I just saw this woman like bouncing around and like doing random ideas. And my dad like supporting her, but my dad's a very successful doctor, but like he trains every day. Right. And I saw these people that just like really took life by the hand. They travel all the time, like they have fun. Um, like I think it's very rare to see people love their jobs.
Yeah.
Like I think, right, I don't think very many people love their jobs.
I
Um,
think a lot of people do a job for a job to then do things outside of it
yeah,
rather than
and I was like, if we're gonna work hard, we might as well work hard towards something we want to do. And that's a privilege to say that. But I think it's hard work that's allowed me to be able to go, okay, the next thing I do is going to be something I want to do.
yeah. No, it's so true.
Yeah, no, no. And then I guess Hyrox came along and you thought, I'll give it a go and I love it and I want to be the best at it. Is that how it went in your mind? Or did someone suggest it to you? Or did you see it? Or where did
Oh my
this
God, it's
start?
such a funny story. So I tore my Achilles about a year and a half ago, just maybe a year and 8 months ago. And I was like, oh, I can't run. So I texted my old high school coach, like my coach from when I was like 16, and I was like, can we go to the gym? He's like an S&C coach for like some of the Olympic teams. Like he's good. And I was like, I just need to feel something. I need to feel strong and competitive. And I go to this gym and this like PT is talking about Hyrox and he doesn't look like the best PT, if I'm honest. Um, and then my coach goes, oh, I think you'd be quite good at that. And I was like, yeah, I think I would. And the guy looks at me and goes, nah, you just don't really have the build for it. And I was like, fair enough. Like I am, probably not the traditional Hyrox build. I built more like a runner. Um, and I was like, oh, that really annoyed me when a man is like, you can't do something. So I looked at my coach and I was like, look, I know I can't run. Like I cannot run at all. But like I found a Hyrox literally in the session in Poland. And I was like, look, it's in 3 weeks' time. Um, can I just tape up my ankle and just deal with the pain for 35 minutes and then I won't run again? And then he was like, this is such a road suggestion, but like you're gonna do it anyway. So like, okay. Um, so I text my parents and I'm like, do you guys want to go to Gdansk? And they were like, what? And I was like, I think I want to do a Hyrox in Gdansk. And my parents were like, yeah, we're quarter Polish and we don't explore that side. So my parents are like, fine, we'll go to Gdansk. Turn up to Gdansk, have not run in maybe like 5 months. Um, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so fun. I do my first race, I win it. And my parents are like, oh shit. Um, and and then I get a message that night being like, well, championships is next week in Nice, and I got the last slot. And then I looked at my parents and I looked at my mum and I was like, do you want to go to Nice for 24 hours? She was like, yeah, all right. Um, so we turn up to Nice, but obviously I've never done a Hyrox. I've done one, and then I have pro weights that I've never done before because my first wasn't open. And I turn up and I told my mum, I was like, I'm aiming for top 5 in the world. It's going to be fine. I will shit. Um, couldn't move the sled, but it like gave me a proper kick up the arse that I was like, oh, maybe I do want to take this more seriously. And then since then, bar one race, I haven't done a race where I haven't knocked 2 minutes off the time. I've only done 6 Hyroxes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's not met
I think everyone
compared.
thinks I race way more.
Yeah, compared to
Yeah,
like a lot of the athletes that have been like building up and racing a lot, six to get into the Elite 15 is actually
not many.
no, probably on par
No.
with like Joanna and Emily
Emily
Darman, I'd say.
Yeah, well, at the beginning they'd only done a few, yeah. And have you enjoyed the strength side of things, like from being a runner?
So I'm actually a runner that runs based off strength. So like I've always focused on lifting as part of my program, always. And also swimming, right? Like imagine this, like the strength we had to get the shoulders we had, or like do butterfly at 15, during puberty. Like these are things. Um, so yeah, I've loved getting back into the gym, and I think I have to be a bit smarter because naturally for me, if I'm in a gym, I'm like, oh, ergs, because obviously I love ergs. But like George is always like, every single time you go and do, like, you're always the fastest on the ski erg. We don't need to go on a ski erg anymore. Right. But I'm shit at burpees. But I'm like, should we lift? And he's like, but you can't do a burpee. So like, yes and no, because I'm now being forced to do things I don't enjoy. And that's where I'm a bit bored. But yeah, I love strength. I think I'm definitely going to change my training program up now after a 2-week break, go back to running a bit more. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll see me running some races this year. Might be a bit more fun.
Some
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
Cool. To try and like, do you want to like try and build that speed like because you've probably, I don't know whether you can still knock seconds off. I know you're super fast, but it's harder to make gains at that level. But do you feel like there is gains to be made because you haven't been focusing on running as much as?
Yeah. I think one, you should enjoy your training.
Mhm.
And I get competitive when I'm on a running track. And two, I had really lowered my intensity of running going up to Melbourne because my back got so bad. And then I actually end up losing the strength that I have over everyone, right? It's like I can quite comfortably knock out 330s. And I was nowhere near that. And I was like, I actually really should be trying to aim for 320s now.
Mhm.
And Holly said it. She was like, you need to go back and just like get on the track. Like, I mean, look how good Holly's got in a year.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, I might maybe I'll get 20 seconds off my burpees, but if I lose 2 minutes on a run,
100%.
um,
Even if you're running at the same speed as the other girls in the Elite 15, and it gives you then the chance to go into the stations fresher. You can push your run
exactly.
back end and you'll go into
Right.
the wall. Like
Yeah.
it's even just that. If you find the 330 running pace, like
Nothing. Yeah.
yeah, like more
Yeah.
comfortable than somebody else that's actually pushing hard to hit 330.
And I also just need to be able to keep up with Holly. Let's be really realistic here. I'm running with the fastest person. Like I just need to suck it up and run faster. Um, but yeah, and I think also just like have a bit more fun. Like I think sometimes when we get like so training, we forget that training is actually meant to be like social and with friends. And that's actually when we do really well.
Yeah. And so you talked about maybe trying to improve your running. So from someone that is an incredible runner and also runs a doubles with one of the most incredible runners in the UK, what if there was somebody in that's listening to this now and going, oh, Sophia's going to go back to the track and maybe do some races. Is that how I improve my running? Do you have any tips for people to try and improve their Hyrox specific running, which
Yeah. One, I think when you stop enjoying it, that's an issue. Look, the reason I'm saying I want to go back to running is because I love it. Like that's the real reason I want to do it. And the reason I enjoy Hyrox is because the runs bring me joy. Um, Look, I think a lot of I'm re-seeing this as a second, like I'm seeing my seasons in two halves. This is the second half. I've taken a break. And it's like my rebuild. And my rebuild last summer was unbelievable. I don't know why it was so good, but we started doing these like really bulky tempo runs where I was going faster than race pace and being like, oh my God, this is so good. Um, and that worked perfectly for singles, right? Like I actually came into this sport thinking I would only ever do singles. There's endurance and strength. It's the best combo for me. But then obviously the Holly thing happened, and our first race was pretty fast. But Holly's ultimately a 1500 runner that just ends up being really good at other distance. So her explosive speed and recovery is so much better than mine. Like I'm not a 1500 runner, I'm a 5K, 10K. And Holly was like, for a doubles, actually, we need to get you doing, your 400s again, your 300s again. That like horrible, like slightly dipping into anaerobic running. It's ghastly. I'd much prefer to do like 10 by a K. Um, but I think like optimizing they're two different sports now, right? You're seeing like a specialization with doubles and with singles. And I think if you want to do both, it's actually two sets of skills, right? So I need to be able to be a bit faster than I was. And then because ultimately, and then, you need to be able to hold on to that base for my one that I can just keep running the same pace, chugging it out and not dying. Um, but I think, yeah, my advice with running is one, remember it is 50% of the race. Right, like it's not a competition on who can lift the heaviest because actually the weights we're not power lifters. None of us are power lifters. You don't need to max deadlift. I don't think you do. Um, and then also you don't need to be, everyone says, how do I balance it? Because I'm not training 40 hours a week. Like this is not, we're not doing triathlons. I don't think we need to train 40 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whatever, to get the most out of us. It's like, can we optimize? Okay, I'm obsessed with my work. I need to throw it away because I'm so obsessed with it. But like, how do we optimize, things I'm bad at? Sleep, alcohol, food. I don't eat enough. I know that. Like, well, if I do, it's like if I go out with my friends, I'm like, pizza, wine. But like maybe like thinking about adding a salad, like that would be really great. Um, but there's also like all the little things where like, oh, let's hammer out the mileage but not sleep. Like that doesn't work. Do less mileage and get 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
I feel like I love it because the way you're saying it is probably how so many people relate as well. Like
Yeah.
people know they should do it and they're like, "Oh yeah, but then actually when you look at it and break it down like that, you are choosing to go for a longer run instead of sleeping more and you are having wine with your pizza instead of having a salad."
Okay.
Like
I am
it's
gonna say though, I think everyone should have wine with their pizza. Like I'm gonna make I like I know I'm being preachy right now, and like yes, my alcohol consumption has significantly dropped. And I'll talk to you about what I'm doing in the future because I'm changing jobs and it's related to this. But like, no, what you don't need to be like, I don't think doing a sport should be all sacrificial. Like, you know, when you see most of the elite 15, like we all went for like like everyone goes for a drink after. Like, it's like this is not meant to be a punishment. Yes, it's meant to be hard, but like a glass of wine with midway through your training block is not going to ruin your race. But what might ruin your race is your mindset when you haven't seen your friends for months.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about, yeah, I guess everyone doing things differently, but doing it right for you, isn't it? And maybe if you're somebody that if you haven't got a partner and you live alone and you train like somebody else who's got a family and then they don't go out, you probably need to go and socialize more because otherwise you'll
Yeah,
train and go back to an empty apartment. Like, it's not one size fits all with anything we do, whether that's the
no,
training or because like me and Em couldn't train the way you train. We don't have the running background, like, and the speed. So we're like trying to find that running background and the speed. So listening to like your training program would absolutely no way help us because we don't have the base
no,
that you're running. So you've got to like, yeah, do what's right for you. And I
yeah,
think the longevity in the sport and what you're saying is it's quite nice to hear a balance from somebody that has
yeah.
been in the elite 15 that isn't just showing, I don't know, the elite side of sport on Instagram, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like what I
Well,
eat.
I also think like I'm doing my 2026 like goal setting and manifestations. And really sad that like I did notice it. And I hit every target I wanted last year, right? The Rogus targets I hit. I said world record in January, hit it in February. I wrote Forbes 30. Like but I think a lot of the goals I set were about proving things, right? And I actually don't know if that's something that is sustainable because like why are we like who are we proving things to? Who's the long run going to impress? Right, when actually the best thing for us is in a long run. So like this year, instead of like doing proving, which all these metrics ultimately are, right? They're signaling to people that I'm good enough. I'm being like, how can I build on what I've already achieved? Right. And I think like the concept of building rather than proving is like we build for ourselves and we build for the people we love. Right. If you want to build your Instagram, like who are we building it for? Actually, like I don't need to show people, yesterday my father said hungover run because I was hungover. Like YOLO, who cares? Will I have to stop drinking again? Yes, sadly. But like I'm doing this sport because I enjoy it. I'm not doing it to get like another like protein brand to sponsor me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
it's
And actually, right. And I think sponsorships are great, by the way. I think it's the most important thing in this sport because ultimately it enables people to be able to have a career. But like we shouldn't be overly racing because we're forced to as well. That's something we always see in the sport as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And the outside pressure, I think it's important, like you say, like who are you proving it to? Like you have to do it for yourself. Like that has to be the one and the why and the reason that you're setting the goals for yourself to achieve. Like you should still be able to train for it and want to do it, whether it was going up on social media or not. Like if it was behind
Yeah.
closed doors, nobody knew. Like it has to be what you like want to yeah, to prove to yourself, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, I
Uh,
remember most of my friends don't do Hyrox. Most of my friends are not the sportiest. Come on. But I remember one of my best friends sending me this message and she was like, would you do Hyrox if you couldn't post your wins on Instagram? And I was like, that's so rude. But I was like, actually, like, fair. Like, would I? And actually, I'm in the position where I would be like, of course I would.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
doing it for myself.
Yeah. And I think that is some of the biggest tells, isn't it, really? It's like if you go away, or I guess sometimes we like go for a big trail run or a big mountain bike ride in the hills, and you're just like you just love it so much. And you're like, I don't care whether it goes on Instagram or not, like just the joy of being out there and doing it, you're doing it for you and you just feel so much better after. And I think it's
Yeah.
even the same with some of the sessions and just feeling fit and strong. I think for maybe for a lot of females now, because it's, this whole new venture of like fit, strong females coming through, and people are starting to feel really good in themselves. They're feeling aerobically fit, they're feeling stronger than ever, and things like Hyrox, CrossFit, hybrid training is allowing females to feel like that people are chasing like longevity and health and that feeling
Yeah.
over having to post on Instagram or feeling like they should post on Instagram.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with both of you.
So what's the job change or the future looking like for you after such a huge successful 2025?
When is this coming out? This podcast? I think if I can announce things.
On the 12th of January.
Okay, do you know what? Yeah, no one from my work is gonna be listening to Hyrox podcast because they don't do sport. So we're good.
You don't have to say it. I don't feel like
No, it's fine. It's fine. Actually, a lot of people I do love Hyrox, so maybe I will. But I whilst I'm still involved in my last company, I'm actually venturing into the sports space, which is really fun. I'm actually building a members club focused on sports performance in London.
Cool.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm building a physical space where I think you can, when we look back at what success used to look like to corporate people, many years ago, the sign of success would be like wearing a Rolex, right? Like that was what, when we look at what, like, the Bloomberg released this article and they were like, the sign of success is for men on Wall Street is running a 3-hour marathon, right? And, I think I'm not my core audience because I would say I'm not an everyday athlete, but we are seeing this rise of everyday athletes, which are people who want to train like athletes, also have the community that a lot of us have. But actually, you don't find that in everyday gyms, and you don't find that in members clubs because members clubs are focused on drinking. Yeah. And by members clubs, see it more as like an athletics club rather than like a members club. And I was like, I have a background in health and science, so we can do some fun stuff with prediction and what works best for people's training schedules. But I also have a background in community building. I'm like, why can I not kind of use my skills in fundraising and community building and actually build like a physical space for people to, compete together, recover together, train together, but also have a drink together. That's kind of what I like. Sport can be fun.
Yeah.
And social. So you can have like
an awesome gym with testing and a bar.
A lot more than that, but you guys can come try it out when we start building. But I think see it less as a gym.
And go have a beer together after. Is this what?
Oh my God, yeah. Obviously, there'll be restaurant, gym, but I think like a lot of gyms can be quite intimidating if you're not one. I think that's a big point. Two, what happens if you're injured in a gym? Right. Yeah. So like a big, we never had, different, how do we get someone on a training program in a gym so they can train with other people that's like for rehab? Right. Actually, rehab is the most boring thing. What happens if we built classes that people could do it together? What happens if we have a gym where we know that 50 people are running London Marathon, but they can train together? We know the most efficacious way to train is if you train with people you like.
Yeah.
So how can we start building these social groups?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
And it's going to be based in London, the physical space. So anyone that's in London listening to this now, like, can keep an eye out.
You keep an eye out, yes, but there will be very little on it until maybe end of Jan. And then hopefully we start building a few more spaces around the world. So UAE will be one of them.
Oh, cool.
Amazing.
I mean, I think the health space out here is, it's going crazy. And I think like the community building is one of the things we notice the most, actually, I think, about being out in Dubai is building good communities. I don't know whether it's because there's so many expats out here, but like it's a very core foundation, and the community building definitely is helping
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I
And
also think like, I'm a great spokes. I'm in a Middle Eastern as well, but I think we underestimate how fast business in that region is growing and how much things are being built, whether that's communities, whether that's hotels, whether that's built, there is always change. But with change also comes isolation, right? It's like when everything is moving, how do we find somewhere to be grounded in? And you have to find that in community,
yeah.
which is actually why the UAE starts. I don't know if you guys ever go down to Kite Beach, but like there's always a run club. There's always like 20 run clubs in the morning.
I don't even understand how there's that many and everyone's thriving, and in every run club there's like 200 people. It's just like crazy.
I know. And I'm also just like, why are all these sadists running when it's sunny? Like, just wait till it goes dark. That's what I don't understand. I'm like, I'm literally a professional athlete and I wouldn't do what they're doing because I'm lazy and don't want to wake up.
Yeah, literally.
And how does it, so talking about that's like professional stroke kind of linking into your passion and
Hmm.
your passion of being an athlete as well. How does it look for you going forward in 2026 for training as an elite
Yeah.
Hyrox? Are you going all in? Are you going to look at some running? Like how's this transition of, I mean, setting up another business is not going to give you more time. I
No,
know.
but it kind of does, right? Because I
Okay.
think dealing with multiple identities can get really hard, right? It can. Like, I'm like trying to tell my team that, like, I have such a blessing that I have the freedom to choose when I go for a run. In the like, if I have a blank space in the middle of the day at 3 p.m., I'm like, bye everyone, and everyone's like, she's going for a run. Um, but it's quite hard when you're like, I have two careers. Actually, if I can blend those two careers, that actually the sport that I'm doing is making sense for that business now, right? Like I'm accumulating knowledge for my business by doing this sport, and the sport is helping me leverage my business. Sorry, the business is helping me leverage my sport, right? And I'm like, what an amazing position that both my jobs now link together. Um, but saying that, I have a few goals for the sport this year. I think one is to remember to have fun. I think I really forgot that. I think it like when you start like I came out of nowhere, and I think people know that like I did, but it suddenly went from like, haha, this is the thing I do at the gym with my friends to having an agent, having to think about races, having to book flights in advance, having to actually think about it like I was a professional again. Um, and I think whilst all that is amazing and I actually thrive off that, um, understanding that I'm doing this because I've chosen to and keeping that in mind is something I really want to focus on. But my main focus is look, I'm still injured, if I'm really honest. So I will not be going to Phoenix.
Okay.
Um, my aim is how fit can I get? I mean, it's an annoying injury. It's actually my glute and my hip. So it's not bone, which means like you kind of can train. But the question is like, how fit can I get in the next 2 months, month and a half that me and Holly can go to Warsaw? I will also hopefully go to Warsaw solo, get to read. Look, my goal is to qualify for both the world. That's like my ultimate goal. Um,
Yeah.
and just break 60. I just want to break 60. That's actually like the only goal. Come on, I just want to break 60 for myself.
Yeah.
Um, right, and then we'll see where the future goes. There's so many fun opportunities, in the next couple of years. I want to run a marathon.
Have you done one before?
Not I've like paced a couple. I've paced one, but not done the whole thing. I ran one for fun for my best friend's birthday because he was like, "I'm turning 26. I want to run 26 miles," and we woke up and we're like, "Okay," with no planning and training. But I think that's probably the distance I'm probably best at. So like giving that a go. Um, but we never know what's going to come up. Maybe I'll actually anything that's strength related. I'm probably going to avoid. I was about to be like, maybe I'll do like an ASEC. No, I won't. Um, I have no interest in that. But I think I do have the potential to be the best. The question is, like, can I execute on that potential in a way that means I have longevity in the sport and I'm happy? If I don't have those two things, I won't get there.
Yeah. And how important is it? Because I think you can link this to like business and to sport, like believing in yourself. Because you say those goals, and I think it's ace listening to individuals that really believe that they can get there, because it's half the battle that you believe you can
Mhm.
do it. you know, only you can take yourself there. So you've got to believe it first if anybody else is going to believe it. But how important do you think that is in either business or sport to have that belief?
So look, the number of times and I've been called arrogant is high, right? Because I am quite happy vocally saying the things I believe I have the potential to do, right? The number of people that are telling me I can't do those things is significantly more than just me telling myself I can. If I do not tell myself that I am, positive self-talk, like I'm great, I have the potential to do this, I have the talent and the drive, like those voices become like a lot louder, right? So they say like, when we did like, I went through this program called Entrepreneur First, which is like how like, basically building companies similar to Y Combinator. And I remember like they were saying like a lot of founders you'll meet will have like a high degree of self-exceptionalism, right? Like they truly believe they are the best. And that's the reason they don't start at the best, but they have such a strong belief that they can change the world or they can achieve XYZ, but ultimately they're so deluded that they can. And the only way, right, it's true. The only way we can like achieve crazy things is setting almost unattainable goals. Right.
Yeah.
Obviously the world record was like objectively like such a weird goal to have. Like being like, I'm gonna hit a world record. But I wouldn't have hit it unless I put in that crazy goal, And I never would have thought it was possible. You have to believe these things are possible because they
Yeah.
are. Like everything is actually possible.
Yeah. And it's
Bar
then
like
it's
look,
just
bar my mum beating me in a race. Like my 65-year-old mum who doesn't exercise will never beat me in a race. But like relatively, she could do a Hyrox, and that's still pretty much impossible. But she could if she trained. So I think like self-belief and then actually something I really believe, I like this as like a New Year one. Um, there's no point having goals unless you can action them. So like whenever I set goals, like how will I achieve those goals, right? And you start with like the smallest things. So, for me, I'm actually going to give a weird one. Last year, I'd written this goal of like, um, find love. So vague. What does that mean? Don't know. But underneath, I had gone like, I will no longer respond to DMs from boys that I have dated in the past. Right? Very important. Then another goal was like, I'm going to give people second chances if they deserve it. Like third one, be open to meeting people that don't fit your stereotypical type. And you start like actually being like, can I hold on to these smaller goals that mean this one is way more likely to happen? And actually like the fourth one was like, it will come to you. Like just accept that like love is all around us. It will come to you. And I remember in October, I was like, you know, on Hinge. And there was this cute boy, and I was meant to go on a date with him the day later, and I was like, you know what, if he finds my message weird, he's not the one anyway. And I just messaged him and I was like, it's a really nice day. Any chance you want to go for a walk now? Right. And it ended up being a 30-hour, like 24-hour first date.
oh.
Right. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? Like, if he's the right person, he's not going to be weird if I'm openly and affectionate after a 24-hour date, because like your normal partner would be like 24-hour date, kind of crazy. Maybe I should be receptive to this. So I was very open to be like, yeah, I want to see you again. I like you. He's now my boyfriend. Um, but I think my point is love, work, whatever. Like, I think if we set these very, very small goals where you have these like tiny mindset shifts, you eventually hit the one you're aiming for. That was such a ramble. Maybe I should be like a motivational speaker.
No, I like that, especially because it's like January and the start of the year. I feel like that's like a really good tangent to go off on and a
Yeah.
very good example and
Yeah.
make total sense. Like, yeah, you've
Yeah.
got to be able to action the goal for the goal to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And the goal should never be punitive. Like, I think when we look at 2026, I'm never going to write, like, don't have alcohol.
Yeah.
Right?
There's
I'm not.
something unattainable that's just going to make you miserable in the end, and you're trying to it's like trying to do it
Exactly.
once, isn't it? Like, I'm not going to eat
Yeah. But
chocolate
like,
for this, I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to exercise, I'm going to have a cold shower every morning, and then by the like day 7 you're like, my life is
you're
miserable.
like, ooh, my life sucks. Like, I don't like cold showers. Like, we're finally at a place that most, we have hot running water, and
Well,
like we should really utilize the hot running water because it's a privilege to have hot running water. Like I'm not out here for like torture. Like no.
it's so funny, isn't it? But I think I just wanted to go back to your point about saying that people have called you arrogant, and I think this is really interesting between the difference between guys and girls. I think if a
Totally.
guy says this is what I want to do, or I'm going to be the best at this, it isn't like people don't react to it in the same way as if a female says, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do this. I think like just stereotypically girls have always been like a bit, oh, you know, too polite, a bit in themselves, a bit like, oh, maybe, or maybe in their head they think they might do it, but they never say it out loud. And I think it's good to see, you know, I listened to like a podcast with Meg Jacobi the other day and she said, like, I'm coming back and I'm coming back to win because I want to be a world champion. Like seventh is great for somebody else, but I've won the world championship, so I'm going back to win. And if people don't like that, that's just the way it is. And I'm like, yes, like, and you're saying, you know, you're out there to, you've already proved you've got the raw ability to compete against the top 15 in the world. So why shouldn't you have the aim to be the best? Like, it's great
Yeah.
women say this and inspire other women to actually
Yeah.
think, what can I achieve?
Ab-
And go out there and
Absolutely, but that could be anything. It could be like your first 5K,
yeah,
you know, like where the goal is doesn't matter. It's the fact you can openly state your goals with pride, right? And I
yeah,
think that's it. Like maybe the goal sounds better if it's Elite 50. It's not a better goal, right? Actually, like I have an advantage that I've been doing sports since I was 5, 6, so, like at a high level from like 8, right? Like I'm starting from a different point.
Mhm. It's the point that yeah, it's the
I own that. I came out of nowhere, but did I? Not really.
it's the point that
Can you hear me?
trying to be confident in what you want to achieve and put it out there and work towards it. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everyone's just going to admire the fact you've achieved it when you do achieve it. But if you've said it for yourself,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but
you,
also the people you meet who also like the more women are able to express those goals, they find other people on really similar ones, right? And I think goals are so much more easily achieved if you're doing it next to someone.
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Which goes back to your members club and
Yeah.
working
It
together.
does. See, so this is why it works. See, even on like a podcast about Hyrox, technically plugging the business.
God, you're good.
It's a skill. It's a skill.
And could we just quickly touch on the injury a little bit? How does like training, how is everything looking for the kind of next few months for you? Are you able to still arg
It's a great
run?
question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
We're not sure. So the last couple of weeks, so since Melbourne, my body was like in shutdown. I think you can see it with your like, you know, I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. Just want to keep showing you it.
Wait.
I just like I'm slightly obsessed with it. But like my HRV was like 20, and I was like, I'm just like, I need to sleep. And I think, you know, no, you don't need to always be a hero. So I actually just took a week off. I was like, who cares? And that is as much training as forcing yourself not to train. Um, and then for the last 2 weeks, I've just been like going on runs, did my first workout 2 days ago, and then went to see my physio, and he was like, it's some form of like tendinopathy in my glute, which can take up to 6 months to kind of heal, but I've had it for 5 months. Like I think everyone forgets, like the day before my Hamburg race when I ran a 101, I couldn't get out of bed. Like I could not get out of bed on the morning, and you know, you suck it up. I do not recommend when people have injuries where they're told not to train, sucking it up. I was told I could do it. Because it's not bone, it's not a stress fracture. But we don't actually know what it is. So I'm going to get an MRI next week. The likelihood is I will be able to continue to train. It should start to heal. But look, the goal is slow build up. If it gets worse, I told George, my coach, I was like, I don't want to have another season managing pain. Right? You don't want to go into a race going, oh, is it going to hold?
Yeah.
Like it's just not worth it. So actually, my goal is if I turn up to a race healthy, I can win that race. I know that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's if I sorry.
I was just going to say, just having like a niggle in the back of your head when you're trying to perform, and if you're trying to perform at a high level, it's just you're never going to be able to put out the same performance. You turn up to that line knowing you feel fit and healthy. You've got no
Ever. No, and you know, it affects your sleep, it affects your mentality. Um, and like I fixed one thing, I feel refreshed mentally. I didn't want to compete in Melbourne like mentally because I was so tired. I now like went on a run and I was like, oh my God, I want to go faster. That's great. I fixed that one. The next one is like, can I turn up to a race healthy? I haven't done that since Vienna when I broke the open. I have not turned up to a race healthy.
Okay, fair. And do you think maybe before Warsaw, if you start to get on top of this, are you and Holly anywhere, do you live anywhere close to each other? Do you guys train together, or are you one of these pairs that just competes together and you haven't really done much
No,
training?
we've trained together. So Holly lives about an hour and a half away from London.
Yeah.
Um, and luckily she always has some form of like, Holly stuff in London to do. So when she comes into London, we'll train, but we're hoping to get a little warm weather camp in, hopefully. Um,
Oh,
but I just think she's so funny. I just love her so much. That's the complete, like, honestly, training with Holly is like a joy. Like, I'm just like, this is such an added bonus to the sport that I get to do this with my friend.
yeah.
And like I
Yeah.
said, she came to Melbourne with her boyfriend, and my mum was there. And then every day we somehow like ended up in the spa with all of us. And then we like ended up on a walk or ended up at breakfast. She was like, it's kind of nice we can just go on holiday together. I was like, kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's how
get
you build longevity, right? It's like you find the person that you want to do it with.
Yeah, and I think like the relationship in the doubles partner is really important for you to be able to like support each other and go through the highs and lows of the races and know that like you've got each other's back and that you're like a good team. Like it's a really
Yeah.
important thing to, and then to perform your best together, like you need to work together, don't you?
You also need to have different strengths, right? Like it needs to make sense at that level. And I think for me, it was like Holly needs someone who can keep up with her on the runs.
yeah.
I needed someone who could push me on runs. So like I'm probably the closest person to Holly that could keep up. But Holly is better than me. We know that. But then at some point, I can take 60% of the ergs. I and then so basically the way it works is if I take the majority of the stations, but I'm getting more rest, so Holly finishes and ends, we end up pretty similar on the runs and pretty similar on the stations.
Yeah, that's interesting. And have you like mixed around with like the ratios and the tactics that you use on the stations, or have you literally just thought you can give like the majority of it in the middle because you may be a bit stronger on the stations, but she's going to start and finish them because she's a bit stronger on the
Um,
road? How you just gone
we
into?
you plan all this stuff, and then the race happens, and then all of it goes out the window. Look, I think for anybody who has a doubles partner, just learn to communicate. Sometimes I remember when we were in Birmingham, I was expecting Holly to lead all the runs, but at the back end, I felt stronger.
Yeah.
Right. But then during Melbourne, we had expected that we would be at the front, but I was actually really slow on the runs because I had just done the day before. Um, and, you know, after Birmingham, we realized Holly's way better at burpees. So we got Holly to do the majority of the burpees. But then on the day in Melbourne, I felt good on burpees. Like you don't, race days are weird places because you have all these amazing plans and you never execute on them because something like everyone always tells me, and I always say, I'm going to go so slow out on the ski erg. Like, I'm always like, I'm going to come out like 4:25, like it's going to be so chill. And then somehow it's 4:05 again. And I'm like, oh no. But if you feel good, I'm like, okay, I might as well go.
Yeah, and sometimes you just sit into it and you feel okay. Then sometimes you've got to go on RPE, especially with Hyrox and like on the
Yeah.
runs and stuff. You've got no
Yeah.
metrics to help you when you're inside.
Oh
So
my God, no, we always have these silly goals. Like George, my coach, he always says, like, rowing is where you're really gonna, start to break people. But then I get to the row and I'm off like, oh, this is a nice bit of recovery, isn't it? And I'm just, and you're like, you kind of forget that you had this whole mindset of like, this is where I go. And I'm like, oh, rowing.
It's so
Like you,
funny. Like
you
so
like, it's
stop.
why I can't talk about my races before my races because like anything I say that's gonna happen, I'm definitely not gonna do.
yeah, it's a funny sport like that. It is, and on the day anything can happen, and you think you feel great, and then suddenly, and different people, especially with the doubles, you hit like a wall in that race at different times, and one of you always
Yeah,
comes running out faster than the other one, or
Yeah.
it's so strange.
it's such a weird race. And like weird things affect you. Like I didn't think, obviously I've never run a grid, right? I've never run a grid before. But I completely forgot that, I hated indoor track because I hate 200-meter tracks. I hate sharp bends. I'm really tall. I don't like the turn. I go wide. And then suddenly I had this like flashback to like being lapped on like a 200-meter track when I was like 14. And I had to go and do it again. So like you never really know what's psychologically gonna like slightly fuck with you. You never really know what's gonna feel good, what isn't. But you learn from each of them, right? So, my biggest goal for Hyrox this year is I don't take gels ever. I've never taken a gel like during a Hyrox
Yeah.
because ever. I know, so stupid. But I was just like, oh, I haven't trained with them, so I'm not going to do it. Then everyone at the Elite in, got their gels in their pockets, and I'm like, oh no, eating my Haribos. Um, So my new goal is I'm going to train with gels, small goals, maybe massive results.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And how did you just talked about going on the grid, which is very different. How did you find like the judging? Because everyone talks about when they step up into Elite 15 race, the judging, you've got your own judge, especially on the burpees and things. How did you find that in Melbourne? We lost her.
Um, so I've had a series of hello, I think you can hear me.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
you, we've got
You
got
can
you.
hear
you.
me. Cool. Um, so I don't know if you guys knew what happened to me in Chicago at Worlds.
No.
Okay. You will never have a worse experience than that with judging. Um, I had was probably winning Worlds by a couple of minutes. And got
Oh,
to the wall balls, felt so fresh, and then had 75 no reps on the wall balls.
yeah.
75.
Yeah, I think I did one. No, I did 168. I think we counted. So 68. And we then looked at the video of the reps and they were pretty nice. Um, and I
What
just
would they
came
say?
out of
Yeah,
Chicago. Don't
you
know.
don't
They were
know.
just just kept doing that. And I was like, tell me what's going on. And I could see, like, I went in probably, I should have finished around a 1 hour flat. And I ended up with a 103. My wobble took me 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh my God. I think I
I
do.
know,
I think I remember seeing you say this. Yeah, I think I do.
did not go well. Um, and after that, I was like, honestly, any judging experience will be better than that for me. Um, and then was in Bordeaux and got penalized on the burpees for the first time. Um, but I think it's because my like look, sometimes it is my fault. My burpees are a bit shit, but my shoes were also like quite weird. So it didn't ever look, it was parallel. I've never had an issue with parallel feet. And suddenly I was like, now I have an issue with my feet being parallel. Only my hands. And then we got to Elite 15 grid and actually it was like fine. Like, yeah, me and Holly were like, they're gonna call us out. We did not, no one got the like Hamburg, everyone got a penalty. This race, no one got
Yeah,
a penalty. And I was
yeah,
like, so we're optimizing to being like uber safe, but on this one, like, you know, you know, I think Hyrox has done as good as the job they can with standardization. Like, I really do believe that, but like, it is very hard to get it right, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like, we
it
don't have
isn't.
VAR, we don't have like AI machines checking people's hands to see what their hands are. Like, you can only go off what you think is right.
yeah. It's very subjective.
Um, but it's hard, right? When you're like a very tall athlete, you know, like my squat's going to look so different to someone who's 5'2", and I probably am below parallel.
Yeah.
So I've just accepted train as if you're going to get the harshest judging possible.
Yeah, that's a good
So
way
like
to go.
go, yeah, go 2 inches below parallel because no one can question if you go 2 inches below. Get your hands as close as you can. So I think the point is train so no one can question it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, good tips. I just thought it is just interesting when you listen to it and then you see, I don't know, especially Hamburg, like there was just so many penalties in the doubles, and you're just like, wow.
I
And
know.
once they're there with their hands on their pocket, ready to pull out like a yellow card, and you're like, oh my God, and you just see all this
Yeah, how does it
drama.
actually
Yeah.
feel in that moment?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
it's
Guys,
quite good.
please remember I got a 3 minute penalty. Can we just remember that I got a 3 minute
Yeah,
penalty before I pulled out in Melbourne? And that was fully my fault. So like sometimes we can own our mistakes. I just fully clocked out and forgot I hadn't run a lap. Like
I mean, fair, you
so
did have 5 or 6 laps, so it's
Yeah.
it's not
it
like you.
is the most confusing thing. And like I can't count 2 laps. Like six is getting tough because you're also like, oh my god, it is. And then you're watching people in the crowds and you're like, whoa, this is overstimulating.
Yeah,
And now
no,
you expect me to count
yeah.
48 times. You expect me to count 48 times?
I mean, I get confused on 2 laps, so
Yeah, don't envy that at all.
No.
Um, well, I think we've probably done pretty well at covering everything. So I might ask you the last question, which would be, what message or advice would you give to your younger self or the next generation of girls coming up?
In sport or in general?
Up to you, completely up to you.
Um, I think there's probably a few. I think the first one is like comparison really is like the thief of all joy. I remember seeing that quote somewhere and writing it in my journal. Um, I think particularly with social media, and I don't know why I'm so anti social media. It's just like today, but I've woken up in a rage about it. Um, I think we forget how far we've come when we look at how other people, also not accepting that what we're seeing of other people normally is not the full story. We don't know these people. Um, and I think for me, like being happy where I am is amazing. And I think, I think like with little me, I was always like, oh, the next thing, oh, the next thing. And forgetting that actually I could enjoy the fact that I just started, or like I could enjoy the fact of like living where I'm at. So I think a big thing is like you focus on what you want to do, not what you think other people want you to do, what other people are doing. Um, and the third is like, don't be afraid to have these really crazy dreams. You don't have to share them with people. Like, I think like internal goals are more important than goals we share with the world. Um, but like, as I alluded to before, like the only way we can hit crazy achievements is by having this kind of crazy self-belief. Um, and no one really knows what that. I think that's the most exciting thing about crazy belief is like we don't actually know what our full potential is. But like, what an exciting opportunity that we can try. Like that's cool.
Yeah, it's always like that. You'll only regret what you didn't do. So you're never gonna,
Yeah,
get as fit as you can. Like if you take Hyrox as an example, get as fit and as strong as you can. If you make that goal of whatever your goal is, whether it's sub 90, whether it's sub 60, whether it's the elite 15, whatever your goal is,
maybe,
you're not gonna
or it's
regret.
finishing. Could be finishing.
Yeah. You're
Finishing.
not gonna regret
Right. And
getting
then,
fit to achieve
no,
whatever that goal was.
no,
Even if you didn't hit it, it doesn't matter. You still will have
exactly.
progressed,
Yeah.
But also the most exceptional people, and I always say, I'm like, when you see some of these amazing founders and athletes, or like what these people are, like, I'm kind of average, like a bit of average in the middle, maybe. Like, there's no such thing as average, but I'm not. Woo. Um, but all of us have average days. I also think that's another thing is like people expect people to turn up and be the best every day. I'm not. Like sometimes, like I was saying, one of my goals this year is like enjoy the mediocre days.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just like lie in bed an extra hour. Like no one cares. I used to think like I said to my mom, I used to like come from home and be like, oh my God, what if people don't think I'm working? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, but like I should be working because if people know that I'm not working, then like I'm not as good. And then, over time I was like, well, I'm just gonna breathe. Like, who cares? You know?
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah, you
me,
don't
you can
always
hear
have to
me.
be the most
Got me?
productive.
Yeah. No. Like, no, we're human. Like,
Yeah.
except like athlete, founder, they're all just labels. Like, you're a human. Humans get really sad. Women have periods. Like I train like shit for 4 days a month. Like, understand that shit will happen to you. Someone will break your heart. You will get in a fight with your friends. And these are going to affect your training. Like it will, because we're normal. Like it's going to affect your training and it's going to affect your work. And work might affect your training and training might affect your work. And sometimes showing up is the most impressive thing you could do on that day.
Yeah, definitely.
Very true.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to end, I think. And I think you've given some great tips and advice for goal setting and like putting things into perspective and hopefully, yeah, giving people like a bit of a more positive outlook on the year and what they might set themselves to achieve this year. Where can people find you, follow you, stay on the lookout for your exciting things to come, maybe near the end of January?
Do you know what's so funny? I always code switch. I was about to tell you what my name was on LinkedIn. Um,
I mean, LinkedIn's fine as well.
guys,
People,
I love honestly, I'm so anti LinkedIn right now because everyone uses AI bots to write their posts. Now I can't be bothered. Um, Everywhere is just my name, like my full name, Sophia Parvizi Wayne. Do expect unpolished things like pictures of my dogs and me crying at work, but maybe some running stuff too, maybe some Hyrox stuff.
I feel like dogs always go down well. I'm on there.
I just love dogs. I'm like I just think they're the best things in the world. Everyone's like, "What's your dream job?" And I was like, honestly, like running a dog sanctuary would be so fun.
Oh yeah, they're just so happy all the time, aren't they? They
Yeah.
just
They just love
so
you unconditionally.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we
Well,
need, guys.
yeah, that is all we need. Thank you so much for your time. You are a very busy lady doing a lot of
Of
things.
course.
We didn't expect you to also be about to do another new venture, so you're really stretched. Well,
Of course.
thank you so much. And good luck for the
Thank
Hyrox
you.
season and any running races and other races you've got coming up.
Thank you, guys. And we'll speak soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so
Have a
much.
good day. Enjoy the sun.
You too. Thanks.